But we're so excited that your child can join us. And third grade is one of those magical years, and they do so many really engaging and interesting and projects and different parts of the school that really define our lower school and really make it a special place. So I'm going to introduce Brelly Fahrenkopf, and Brelly is the associate head of lower school. She's also the director of the early childhood, and then Academy Early Childhood is the Explorers, which is our 3-year-olds, pre-K and kindergarten. So good morning, Brelly.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this rainy Friday morning. You are in for a treat. Mark and I got to hear Liz give this presentation to our current rising third grade families last night. And as Mark said, third grade is a really wonderful, magical place. You've got a lot in store for you next year. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to Liz and we'll get started.
Thank you, Mark and Brelly and Debbie. My name is Elizabeth Sinclair. I teach third grade, and this is my 5th year teaching third grade at Columbus Academy. Prior to teaching third grade, I taught 4th grade here at Columbus Academy for 5 years. And before that, I taught at a small independent school in Bethesda, Maryland for 6 years, teaching pre-K, kindergarten, and 1st grade. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but third grade really is a magical year. And we're really looking forward to welcoming your children to Columbus Academy and to third grade in the fall. I will share a little bit about the teachers in third grade, as well as our curriculum and program, so you have an idea of what to expect. So Mark, do you have the slides there? Okay, perfect. Okay, so these are the current lead third grade teachers. We have 4 third grade classrooms. This year, things shifted a little bit because we moved to a pod scenario. So we just had lead teachers in each room with smaller class sizes due to kind of the COVID-19 guidelines and things. So next year, we will continue to have 4 lead third grade teachers, but we will add associates back in, which we had 2 years ago. So you'll see there myself and Sarah Worsler teach next door to each other. We are both lead teachers. And so next year we will share an associate. Now our associate teachers are certified educators with college degrees in education, and they work with us part-time. They're here part-time during the day, and we have them here for our academic content areas so that they can help us with differentiation in terms of reading and writing and math and spelling. And then in 3C and 3D, we have Donna Sade and Sam Goldberg, lead teachers, and then they will have an associate that works with their 2 classes part-time, again, working to differentiate and work with the students in small groups. So there was a lot of movement this year as we went from 20-some homerooms to 40-some homerooms. So there will be some shifting again this summer, and we'll have the lead teachers and associate teachers in place. So your child will essentially have 1 lead classroom teacher and then an associate teacher who they'll see pretty much half of the day each day. Going to the next slide. Okay. So third grade, I mentioned the shared associates. The big thing about third grade, I would say it's your shift to upper elementary. So Brelly talked a little bit about early childhood, and Mark mentioned that it's the preschool, the pre-K, kindergarten, and even first grade is some of that early childhood. Second grade is kind of a transition year between early childhood and upper elementary, and third grade, it's official. They're upper elementary students. So you start to see more independence, you start to see more responsibility, you start to see a greater stamina for academic tasks. So that's part of why our associates are shared between 2 rooms, because the students are just naturally more independent. We are so grateful to have the associates because we can continue to differentiate a lot. So they'll work with spelling groups so that we meet your children where they are in terms of their spelling skills. Same with math, same with reading. And then we use our associates a lot for writing as well. So we can really sit down and conference with the students one-on-one for their writing and take them through that writing process. You'll notice in third grade, without fail, when we have our first conference of the year in August, we hear a lot from parents coming from second grade that their children, really did not enjoy homework. They needed help with homework. They needed encouragement to sit down, to get the homework done, and it was kind of like pulling teeth. And then by the time we conference in November, parents are telling us, I don't even see my kids' homework. They never ask for help. I never have to give them reminders. They come home, they get it done, they turn it into you. I hope they're doing it correctly because they don't even let me see it. And that's a natural shift that happens at this age when you kind of go from 8, 9, 10. So that's very common. We see that a lot, and that's a great thing. That's developmentally appropriate for them at this age. The other thing that we do that's fun in third grade is we have pre-K buddies. So your child will be partnered with a pre-K student. We spend lots of time getting to know them, doing special activities and crafts with them. This year, we spent some time via video and letter writing, picture drawing back and forth. We have been able to gather with them outside a little bit this year, and next year we hope to do that even more so. The pre-K students do a Forest Friday every Friday. They spend most of the day outdoors, and so several times a year on Fridays, we will meet up with them and go for a hike or go on a scavenger hunt on our beautiful campus here. So the next slide. So our curriculum in third grade, we pride ourselves on having an integrated curriculum. And what I mean by that is our readers workshop, our writers workshop, and our social studies are all connected. So oftentimes, while it might say on our schedule, we're doing readers workshop or writers workshop or social studies, it all goes together. So for readers workshop, each child has their own reader's notebook. We focus a lot on independent reading. We also do a lot of interactive read alouds. We do some shared reading. And what I mean by that is that we'll read aloud a novel, and each child will have their own copy of the novel to follow along. And so we do a lot of conversation as a class and focus on a lot of comprehension skills with those novels that we read as a group. We also do some work in guided reading groups. So we'll work with small groups and shorter texts. We also do some book clubs or literature circles where the same students will be reading a shorter novel and work together to talk about that book and respond to that book. In writers workshop, we focus a lot on the process of writing in third grade. So really thinking about how your first draft is not your final, that it's a process, right? That it's good to make mistakes. It's good to go back and reread your work. It's good to go back and edit and revise until it really sounds the way you want it to. We focus a lot on hooks and endings in our writing. We oftentimes get students who come to us and the way we start our writing is once upon a time or there once was. So they learn a variety of different ways to start their writing and also bring closure to the writing pieces that they do. And then our social studies is intertwined throughout that readers and writers workshop as well. The kind of themes that we focus on social studies are who we are and kindness and friendship, and how all of us as individuals make our unique group, and we all play an important role in that group. And so in that, we have the students do a little bit of research about their families and where they're from and different traditions, as well as they do a very unique study about their name. They research their name and interview their parents about why they were given that name and what special meaning does it have. And we also look at baby books and websites of baby names and find some different information about the origins and the histories of our name. They take that information and they write their own name story. And so that's just a great way to start the year and kind of introduce ourselves in a unique fashion. We also do in social studies, we study the regions of the United States. So each student chooses one of the 5 regions to study, and they research the different crops that are grown there, the landmarks that are there, animals that live there, and they write a persuasive essay convincing an audience to visit that region. So that's a lot of fun, and we intertwine a lot of map skills with that unit as well. We do a biography unit that ties across social studies, readers workshop, and math, and it leads it up to our wax museum, which is a big third grade tradition. So through that unit, each student will choose a famous historical figure to research and study, and they write that person's life story in first person, so as if they are that person, and then they dress up as that person and give a presentation, and in our final wax museum. I'll talk a little bit about that, more about that later on in the slides. And then right now we are in the midst of our Gold Rush unit. So the students are learning about the Gold Rush era and the 49ers, the 1849 California Gold Rush. We're reading a wonderful historical fiction novel that goes along with that. And they are kind of keeping a journal at the same time and writing as if they were part of the Gold Rush. So you see how we're tying in that social studies piece with the history of that time period, the reading piece with the novel, the historical fiction, and then the writing piece with kind of writing some historical fiction in first person. Our math program, we use the Envisions math program, which is consistent from kindergarten through 5th grade here at Columbus Academy. The Envisions program we adapted, this is our third year using the Envisions program. In 3rd grade, the concepts that your children will focus on in math are multiplication and division facts, a lot of multi-digit addition and subtraction. We do fractions, mass and measurement, geometry, and some perimeter and area. Now, those are the topics laid out in the scope and sequence of the program. That being said, we will of course differentiate and meet your child where they are. So if they have a strong foundation in their multiplication and division facts, when we're working on that topic in the text, we will extend and give them enrichment, taking that, to multi-digit multiplication or division, so they're still working on that same topic or concept, but we're kind of stretching them, enriching them horizontally, and seeing what they can do with that concept that's a little bit more challenging. With our Words Their Way word study program, that's essentially our spelling program. The Words Their Way program is spelling pattern and rule based. So again, we meet your child where they are. And, we've had anywhere in our classrooms from 2 spelling groups one year to 6 spelling groups one year, just depending on the needs of the students. So because we have our associates and because of the multiple 3rd grade classrooms, we're able to do that. So, it won't be that the whole class receives the same words. They're all met where they are. That program, students will have a little bit of homework each night with that Words Their Way word study program. And the homework varies from online activities to oral activities to games to written activities. So it's really great. This is the first year that the 2nd grade students did that program, and then they repeated it again this year in 3rd grade. And we've really seen that it works because the students, their 2nd grade teachers told us where they left off last year at the end of 2nd grade. And when we went to kind of assess at the beginning of the year to see where they would fall this year, it was exactly where they left off in 2nd grade, even before getting that knowledge from them. So we really did see that they retained and understood the patterns and the rules that they learned throughout 2nd grade. The next. Okay, so when I came to Columbus Academy, they had this crazy thing called the A through F day rotation. I'm not sure about your children's schools, if they live in a Monday through Friday world, or if they live in an A through F day world. Although with this year's schooling, everybody has a different kind of world, I'm sure. But we have an A through F rotation. So what that means is each day of the week is a different letter day. So for example, today is E day, and Monday will be F day. So we're on an E day schedule today. My class today happens to have Spanish, and yesterday was D day, so we had art. And I think the reasoning behind that was so that, if we had Mondays off for holidays or certain days off for events, you weren't always missing that art class or that technology. And this way we're able to get in all those co-curricular classes that make Academy special, and not miss any of those. So during that A through F rotation, in third grade, your child will have an art class. They will have a technology class. They'll have a library class, 2 music classes, 2 science classes, 2 Spanish classes, and then 3 PE classes, and 1 swimming class. And we usually just have swimming the first semester of the year. This year, because our schedule was stretched a little bit due to COVID, we have had swimming all year, but I believe next year we'll have it just first semester again. I mentioned the integrated curriculum throughout our academic core classes. We do integrate our co-curricular classes into what we do in the classroom as well. So we work with the art teacher to make our backgrounds for the wax museum that I mentioned. We work with our technology teacher a lot in terms of publishing different pieces of written work, through Google Docs or Google Slides and things like that. We work with our library teacher a lot as well. She helps us with a lot of the research that we do for the projects I mentioned for the US regions, as well as the Wax Museum. We're currently working with the science teacher. Our students are making planet projects. So they're spending time both in science class and in our classroom researching a planet of their choosing. And then they're going to build their projects for a planet fair that will take place at the end of this month. So it's all connected. Okay, so at home in third grade, in terms of homework, you can expect probably around 30 minutes of homework, give or take 10 or 15 minutes, dependent upon the child. We all work at different paces, and we all have our own learning style and what works best for us. We do ask for 20 minutes of reading a night. That reading is choice reading. So it's a book or an article or, newspaper, magazine of their choice. We do have iPads one-to-one. They are not required to take home their iPads, but they are given that option should they choose to be reading an ebook or using one of the reading apps that we use here at school. So that's also an option to read on there. We really do encourage, reading that paper book. It shows strong comprehension. Kids are more likely to go back and reread when they're unsure of something when they have the paper copy of a book. So we do encourage that, but we also know we have reluctant readers, and sometimes that electronic version is what gets them interested and excited about the text. In addition to that 20 minutes of reading, they will also most nights have a few minutes of spelling, and that's usually just a review of whatever their word set is that they're working on for that rotation, and then some math. So there are homework sheets within our program that will have them tear out of their math book and take home. And we usually just have them circle a few problems that are required to just show an understanding of the concept taught that day. And then we always also give some optional or encouraged enrichment to those who we feel really want that challenge. We also do a Scholastic News. These usually go home on Monday and are due on Friday, and they're a nonfiction sort of kids magazine. So there's lots of great articles in there. There are usually a lot of great nonfiction text features as well, like graphs and maps and different sidebars. So the kids are encouraged to read through that whole magazine, which is about 4 pages, and then they answer some comprehension questions on the back. But it's some dense reading, so that's why we send it home Monday and it's due Friday, so that they can take their time to really explore and understand the content of those magazines. We do start the year doing those in class because it is new and it's a lot to read, so we kind of help them through that process to start before sending it home. This picture I have here is an assignment book. So each of your children will get an assignment book that they'll bring home each night. You can see the columns are labeled by the day of the week, and then the rows have the content area. So in the afternoon, we'll have the students write down their assignments. We come around and stamp the bottom of those pages to make sure they've written down what they need to do for that night. And then we ask that you sign down there at the bottom just to check that they have done the work. We really encourage them to do the work independently. And if they need help or they don't understand, to come and ask us. We want them to advocate for their learning and to come and say, I didn't do my math homework, but it's because I'm not sure how to do this. Can you help me more with that? That tells us that, we need to go back and review. So it's not so much that we have you sign this to really check over their work or correct their work. It's just to say, did you do your math? Okay, check. Did you do your spelling? Okay, check. Just to make sure that they've done those things and gotten them back into their binder to come back to school. Okay, so some special things about third grade, these magical things that they were talking about that make this year so wonderful. So like I mentioned at the start of the year, we do a big focus on our names and who we are and how we became who we are and all those wonderful things and what makes our classroom the special group that it is. And part of that is by welcoming family members to the classroom. We do something that's called Guest Guru. So you will get a sign up at the start of the year asking to come visit our room and share a passion with your child's class. It can be your occupation. It can be something that has nothing to do with your occupation. It's just a way to kind of build our classroom community and also expose the students to different things out there. I had this week a parent who is a composer, and he joined us via Zoom, and he shared how he had composed some music to go along with Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush movie, since we're studying the Gold Rush. So he shared via Zoom all of his the apps that he uses to compose this music, and he's a professor of music at Denison, so he talked about teaching his students online and things like that, and it was really neat. But I had a couple years ago a parent who is a doctor, researches lung cancer, has done lots of fabulous things. Well, he came in and did magic tricks for us because he has always loved magic. So it certainly doesn't have to be an occupation. It can just be something that you love and you want to share that passion with the students. So we get a wide variety of things. And I mean, it can even be something as, my child and I love reading this book and I'd love to come read this book to the class. Great, we'd love to have you. So to go with those guest gurus, that kind of leads into our passion projects. So we have the students each choose a topic or a subject that they are interested in, passionate about, and they research that topic or subject. And we help them along with the research, and they eventually build a project to share their knowledge. The projects range from, a trifold poster board to a Google Slides presentation to a model of some sort. We've had students make iMovies, different things like that. And that kind of culminates in our passion project fair. So that's a time when we invite parents in to visit that fair and other lower school students and kind of see what the third graders have accomplished with those. That was something we were unable to do this year due to some of our COVID restraints, but we will certainly bring back next year. The Little Dribblers is a wonderful program that one of our PE teachers, Joanne Adams, has run for 20 plus years now. And she works with the third graders in their PE classes and teaches them a routine, dribbling a basketball. You can see the picture down there with all those kids crowded on the bleachers. That was last year. And she choreographs this great routine to a fun, upbeat song. And the kids perform, the third grade students perform at an all-school pep rally. They perform at a Columbus Academy boys varsity basketball game during halftime, a girls varsity basketball game during halftime, as well as a men's Ohio State basketball game during halftime. So it's really quite special. We did not get to do that this year. So this year's third graders will have the chance to do that next fall in November and December as fourth graders. And then your children, if all keeps heading in the right direction, will have the opportunity to do that in January and February of 2022. So that's a really special tradition and one that they always have a lot of fun with. Our wax museum, I've talked a little bit about in terms of the reading and writing part of it. And you can see that picture in the middle. That's Mahika. She's a current 4th grader. So she chose to study Sylvia Earle, marine biologist. So each student chooses a person to study based on the resources that we have in the library and on their interests. And they really, for this 2 months of school, take a deep dive into this person's life and truly kind of become this person. They learn all about their childhood, their accomplishments, what they've done later in life, and how what they have done has continued to impact the world. That project culminates in a presentation of our wax museum. In previous years, we have had all of the 3rd grade students either in the gyms or the dining hall, and you can see they make these beautiful backgrounds that represent their person. They dress up as their person, and they give a speech, to kind of tell that person's life story as pretending to be them. This year, we didn't all gather in the gym or the dining hall, but we were able to hold the wax museum. We invited parents, 1 class a day, to the theater. And so the students did their presentations on stage in the theater, and all the parents for that class were able to join us and sit kind of in the audience, spaced out, and watch their child give this speech and report that they had worked so hard on. And the great thing about this year, we also aired them via Zoom live stream. So grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles from all across the country joined us for Wax Museum, and that wouldn't have happened in normal years. So that was pretty cool. And also I even have a few students in my class this year whose siblings are here at Columbus Academy, and they happened to have a study hall or something during that time. So they got to log on from their study hall and watch their sibling on their iPad, which was great. And then obviously that whole thing was recorded and was then shared out with the greater community. So even though it was different and a bit challenging in ways, I think we learned some positives from it as well. The Kensington Senior Center, that points to that picture up in the corner, that's Miss Molly, who lives at Kensington. In previous years, we've had a very close bond with Kensington Senior Center, which is just outside of Bexley. And that's kind of our major service project that we work on throughout the year. We visit the residents at Kensington once a month to do crafts with them, play board games with them, just kind of talk to them. The kids form these wonderful bonds with the residents there, and in previous years, we have even had a couple of the residents come out to Columbus Academy and visit us here for things like the Wax Museum or the Little Dribblers performance. Obviously, this year we did not go to Kensington, but we did at Valentine's Day make them cards and things as part of our Valentine's Day festivities. And I dropped them off at the Senior Center, and they sent us several pictures of these residents opening the cards, and so thrilled to hear from our students here at Columbus Academy. We also recently completed a service project where students made sort of care kits or entertainment kits for the residents that included puzzles that the kids designed, cards for the residents, and little joke books. So the kids put those together, and then we gave those to the Senior Center. So we've tried to keep that bond even from a distance, and hopefully next year we can restart our visits whenever it's safe to do so. Another special thing about 3rd grade is our weeks in the woods. So there are 4 weeks out of the year that we deem our weeks in the woods. We try to do them once a season. So once kind of in the early mid-fall, once in the winter in December, January, once in April, and then once towards the very end of the year. And that's just so we can explore and get to know CA's campus throughout those different seasons and notice the changes, notice the different animals, notice the different plants, notice just everything about the wonderful land that we have here at those different points in the year. It's also just a wonderful time to bond as a class and to focus on teamwork, cooperation, creativity, the pure joy of these kids just sliding down a muddy hill and cheering each other on as they try to climb back back up, isn't something that you can really replicate inside a classroom. So it's great that we have all this space and all this land to do that. And that was added into our program just 2 years ago. And we've just seen so many benefits to that time outside with our students. Okay. And in terms of communication with all of you,
I'm not sure. I can't hear Mrs. Sinclair anymore.
I think she's frozen. We'll have to, maybe she can see us. Okay. Maybe we're gonna have to run up there where she is and
She's in the math resource room that's
That's
not being
where I
used right
thought.
now. So let's see.
see if we can get her back.
Well, while we're trying to get her back, I think, can everybody hear me okay?
Mhm.
Okay. I'm just I'll tell a quick story about the third grade and the Kensington visit. And third grade, as Mrs. Sinclair said, they developed this incredible bond with some of the residents there that just, I mean, they love it when our kids come. And so a couple of years ago, we brought over Columbus Academy sweatshirts. And there's a gentleman there by the name of Bill who it makes his day, it probably makes his week when we go over, and he's just so loving to the kids, and the kids just love him. And so we thought about what is a way we keep going over to the residents, but what would be a way that we could get some of the residents that participate in this program to Columbus Academy. So we arranged it. So it was like 4 or 5 of them were going to be put in a van and come over from their residence to come to a pep rally. And a pep rally at Columbus Academy in non-COVID times is all 1,150 students, explorers through grade 12, all the faculty, so over 200 faculty and others. There's loud bands, there's lots of cheering. And so they were super excited. And a couple weeks before we went, one of the ladies that works there said, Bill has just this beautiful voice if you ever want him to sing. And so we had an idea, let's have Bill sing the national anthem to kick off the pep rally. And so, in front of everybody, Bill sang this beautiful rendition of the national anthem. And they've also once they came over the third grade, when they go into fourth grade, the big capstone project in fourth grade is a musical that they work on. And the third graders, of course, had enjoyed their time at Kensington, getting to know them. So they brought several residents over to watch a performance of their musical in fourth grade. And the look on the faces after the show when they found out that several residents had come over was just priceless. It was just, they were so excited, and they had a chance to meet at the end and talk. So there are lots of great things that are going on in the third grade program and all the different years, but third grade has certainly got some real projects that involve a lot of parents and also others. So just a little bit more about third grade. I don't know if Elizabeth is back on now.
Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
Elizabeth.
That's
I
okay.
can't.
Yes.
I'm
Nothing
screen
like
sharing,
in the
so I
midst
don't
of a
see anything.
presentation, your screen just goes black. I'm so sorry.
No worries at all.
So sorry, everyone. I apologize. The best laid plans, right? So I was starting to talk a little bit about your help in third grade. So in terms of communicating back and forth with us, Mark had mentioned earlier to always email questions, even leading up to the school year. We encourage that throughout the school year as well. The best way to reach us is via email. We do try to check our email throughout the school day. But we do ask if it's ever a transportation piece or something like that, that you also email Michelle Sailing, who is our administrative assistant in the lower school, if there's a change from bus to carpool or something like that, because sometimes we don't have a chance to check our email during the day. And so she's a better person to reach to let us know of that change. But if you have a question or you'd like to set up a a time to chat via phone or in person or any.
Oh,
The assignment book comes home every day, and in that assignment book, it's in a black binder, and in there you'll see their homework for the night, and they'll also have a pocket where they keep those homework assignments. Also in there, there's a folder that's a take-home folder. So on Thursdays, that take-home folder will be full of the work that they've done throughout the week. So we try to kind of gather and collate all of it to send it home on Thursdays so that you can really look through that and kind of reflect on what their week has been all about. And in addition to that, on Thursdays, we send home an Ask Me About, which is this the picture there that looks kind of like a chalkboard with the rulers on it. And again, that's kind of a reflection on the week. So we ask that, you kind of sit down with your child and kind of use these as talking points. So instead of, how was your week or how was your day, you can really zoom in and say, oh, you read chapters 4 and 5 in By the Great Horn Spoon. Tell me about it. Who are the characters? Where are they traveling to? What obstacles have they faced on their journey? So we give you those talking points there so that you can really engage in that conversation and find out more about what's happening in the classroom. In addition to that, we use a program called Seesaw, and Seesaw, you will be able to download that app on your phone or home iPad, and we will use that to post fun pictures of things we're doing in the classroom. We will also post this Ask Me About each week to Seesaw so you can see it there electronically, and we will also ask the kids to post different things that they're working on. So each Thursday too, I have them choose one thing that they've done that week that they're particularly proud of. Maybe they're proud of it because they worked really hard, or maybe they're proud of it because they just had a blast doing it. So they pick one thing and post it to Seesaw, and we kind of call it our Bravo board, the things that we're applauding. And they'll post different things on there as well. Sometimes if we do a silly, funny activity at morning meeting, I'll take a video of that and post that to Seesaw as well, so you can kind of get a glimpse into our classroom. So next one, and I think, oh yes, so if you have any questions, happy to answer.
uh-oh.
Well, I guess I can start it off. My name is Richard Crockett, and this is my wife, Rhonda, and our third grader, Chase, will be joining the Columbus Academy family this fall. So we are certainly glad to be back at Columbus Academy because we have a 30-year-old
31.
who,
He's 31.
okay, 30. Okay, she's trying to age me, not him. But he's Columbus Academy and a Columbia University graduate, a former athlete, Christopher Crockett.
I remember the name. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Chris was at Academy from about 6th or 7th grade through graduation, and so we're through John and his team of people joined us this fall and winter, and we were able to get Chase there at Academy for the fall. Now I have a number of questions that kind of centered around why we reached out to Academy in the first place. One of the big issues that we had in he was attending the Gahanna school systems at Blacklick Elementary, and one of my big concerns was how not so much Blacklick, but the Gahanna school system handled much of the students during the pandemic. And certainly I was concerned with, the closing of school, and then how, the curriculum was handled during that downtime. The big concern was whether or not Chase was truly being given all that he needed in order to be prepared for 4th grade. And in fact, some of those, what we deemed as deficiencies, would impact him as he moved to a normal year, possibly. And so other than that, we were certainly, up until that time, pretty satisfied with the school because we had some really outstanding teachers, an outstanding principal, and we basically were okay. And not to say we weren't considered an academy at some point in the future, but probably not this early. And so my concern is, first of all, what is the average third grade class size? If someone can address that, number one. Let me kind of give you a series of questions and you guys may want to kind of chime in. The other question is, what about in terms of COVID specifically? I'm assuming COVID will be around a little while longer. What kind of protocols do you guys have in terms of notifying parents of any COVID-related exposure? And how often are the parent-teacher conferences? Those are just some of the basic questions that I had, and then Ron and I may have others, but those are some of the fundamental ones that we had initially.
Yeah, I can certainly take a couple of those. I think, one of the class size and the parent conferences, that's a pretty easy one. Class size probably ranges, and Elizabeth, correct me if I'm wrong, probably somewhere between 15 and 19 students, I would say, just depending on the grade. Like right now, we have this interesting where third grade we've had a group that's been moving through that's just been smaller than other grades. And so, but when we went to the COVID, we went from 28 homerooms to 45 homerooms. And so the average this year is 10 students in a class, because we used from the American Academy of Pediatrics, we used all their recommendations about spacing and things like that. We used directional hallways. Our bathrooms, until just most recently, were one person in them at a time. Didn't matter the size. That created some problems with early childhood, of course, because when they need to use the bathroom, they really need to use the bathroom. So the CDC and they kind of relaxed some of that. So we've been able to do that. But we've been very fortunate. We've had 45 in the lower school, and I would say throughout the school, 45 homeroom classes. And I think we've had only three all year that have had to go out on quarantine, meaning we had to, for 2 weeks or 10 days, they were taught at home. Some of those are in early childhood, so we don't guarantee a 6 feet distance because little kids just can't maintain social distancing. But we insist on the masks. The students have to wear masks even outside at recess. We have masks. The hallways, almost all of them are directional hallways. The students are eating in the classroom, and so when they're eating, they take their masks off and they're not allowed to talk. So, unfortunately, we have to show videos or they're on an iPad just so they're not talking while they're eating. But that's really the only time that they don't have their masks on. For about probably 2/3 of the year, maybe 3/4 of the year, every time there was a case, the entire community was notified. Ohio gave the option then to you could just have a dashboard on your website. So we have a dashboard now on our website. So it's on there. But if there were contacts, of course, we let the parents know of those students. Like if you were in close contact with another student, you may have to quarantine or just to notify to check for signals. And, we have 2 full-time nurses, and students have to do, or parents have to do a health check before. So they answer a series of questions. And so when students are coming in on the car line, the parents show their phone and it has a green bar and it shows that they've answered those questions. If they haven't, then they have to wait until we get that information. Next year, it's hard to know. We don't expect to be in the pods. We're moving. We feel like the numbers are going in the right direction, and with vaccinations and things, we don't feel that will be. I think we still be in masks next year. I think that's going to be something we will continue to do until we feel we can't, because the classrooms won't be, the students won't be 6 feet apart next year. We won't have them that far. So those are some of the questions. I think you asked about parent conferences too, and we have one at the beginning of the year, and we have a winter one and spring one, and then next 2 weeks we're doing celebration of accomplishments, and all of these have been on Zoom, which actually has been one of the benefits because most parents have been able to join. They don't have to leave work, or they can easily get on. from a Zoom call, but we're going to offer for the first time this year, our celebration of accomplishments will be parents can either choose to come in and have the conference in person or by Zoom. So we're excited to be able to get parents back in. It's been a challenging year because parents have not been able to come into the building. It's the students come in. So that's a big part of our school is the community, the strong community. And so that's missing in this past year because except for third grade's wax museum, where the parents came in the theater, they really haven't had any opportunity to do that. So we're looking forward to getting back to normal. So I hope that answered your questions.
She
There you go.
she muted me. One of the things regarding COVID, kind of going back a little bit, did you have any periods during this academic year where one of the things that attracted us to Academy was the fact that you got in-school learning? And was there any periods during the academic year where that was not the case?
No, except for when a pod needed to go out, but instruction then moved to the school purchased, they're called owls, and they sit in the classroom and it moves to whoever is talking. And so when a class did have to go, when one of these 3 pods had to go out at some point during the year, then the instruction was online. But otherwise, it's been in person from the first day.
Good.
Other questions that anybody has? I just checking the chat room. I don't think I see any, but
Just one other question in
Sure.
terms of the instruction. Are students working on Chromebooks?
Each student has an iPad.
Okay.
So we're mostly Apple throughout. So each student has an iPad. We do have carts of laptops that we can borrow from the library or from technology or the technology lab. So, but most of any technology work is done on the iPad, and those are, supplied by the school and everything. So, yeah. And in terms of, you mentioned any concern about if they missed instruction this year due to whatever type of learning program, I would just, talk to the third grade teacher, whomever Chase is with, when the school year starts, and just say, please let us know of things you're noticing, in case he may have missed some instruction last year, and work with that teacher to, if need be, get him up to speed, and I know we have, if you are there are some tutoring opportunities. If you are interested in that, you could reach out to our summer experience program, and she has wonderful tutors that she could line up for the summer if you wanted to do that. I haven't met Chase or no, but I know that that's an option that that families often choose to do.
There's a question in the chat.
So we can all answer that, but I would say, what should we be doing with our children this summer to prepare for fall? Is there a reading list? Yes, there is the librarian will send out a reading book, but I would say, one of the things is get your kids outside, let them enjoy, explore, and read. I think that's one of the, children reading every day, get books from the library and just have them reading and getting back into kind of reading for fun. And everybody, I know new families are all coming from different situations in terms of online school or in-person school. So, socialization will probably be, if you're used to online school, your child, there may be a kind of a different experience at the beginning, because suddenly they'll be faced with, a full classroom of kids. And, for our returning kids, that's just normal now. But for those of you that are coming from more restrictive environments of maybe hybrid or something like that, it may just take a few weeks, and that's absolutely fine. But I don't know, Elizabeth, if you have anything else you'd recommend for the summer?
No, the reading is key. And yeah, if you're comfortable, reaching out to another family who may be coming to Academy and, planning a hike outside or something like that, just to see that face and have that familiar face when they start school. That's a great idea too. But yes, play, enjoy your summer. Don't put them in front of a device. they've had plenty of that. So, play and enjoy and, enjoy being together. Yeah.
And also you're welcome, anytime really on the weekends. And of course, in the summer, if you want to come hike the trails at school, we have 231 acres and they're pretty well marked and you can't get too lost. Our kids are always exploring them. And so there's a summer program at Academy that, but anytime really like after 4 and 5 o'clock, feel free to come and use the playground equipment or come and hike and that's absolutely fine. And it's a good way to kind of let your child have a chance to kind of become a little more comfortable or a little more familiar with Columbus Academy.
Everyone feeling comfortable here? I think that, yes.
Debbie, I
Hi.
have one more question. In terms of communication relative to next steps with third graders and what communication can we expect from Academy relative to the new school year?
Right. Nancy, we've sent out.
We haven't sent
correct?
out the email yet, but hopefully, I believe I'll send it out today. In your My School app portal, there's a tab called Groups at the top. In the drop down, you'll see New Family. And when you go there, you'll see various resources. So you all would be in the lower school topic, it's called. And then there, right now, you'll see a letter from Mark. You'll see the reading lists are there right now. There's some other resources, information about the after school program. So that's all on that page. And we'll be adding some more resources in the next couple of weeks. For example, we haven't posted yet information about uniforms, but I'll be sending out an email that explains how to use it.
The next month, Richard, you're probably going to get more, and Rhonda, more information from us than you care to. Different paper things and emails and all that good stuff. We are working on host families right now too, and we're hoping to add an event this year, which will be a host family and new family party. So you can get together and try to get the kids to be able to see the campus a little bit, but we do have to play a lot of things by ear, seeing how it's going. But I know, Elizabeth, listening to your presentation, I am forever impressed on how creative teachers have tried to keep the traditions going. I'm so glad to hear that the little dribblers will do their thing the beginning of next year, even as a 4th grader, because those are just things you don't want to miss. And as somebody who's been here 42 years, those traditions are near and dear, and kids look forward to it and all those good things. And another thing to close, we really appreciate that you're entrusting your child's education to us. And after that thorough presentation, we are not going to disappoint. I know we hope your child bounds in here every day, is disappointed when school isn't on Saturdays, all of the above. I've heard there was one parent, and I'll end with this really quickly, who their child was getting out of carpool. I happened to be there that day, his 2 girls. And he said, I don't care if they learn anything today. And I immediately said, oh, yes, you do, Jim. This is a lot of money. You care whether they're doing that. And he said, no, I know they're going to learn a lot. They come home happy. Somebody's going to give them a hug. Someone's going to talk to them individually every single day. And he goes, that warms my heart. That makes it all worth it. So hopefully you feel that way next year. Don't wonder about anything. There are all these people on this panel here that will help you. No question is too trivial. We will be happy to answer anything. So thank you, everyone. There aren't any more questions. Get on with your day and have a great one.